My name is Peter McCool from Chicago, Illinois. I am a board-certified emergency medicine physician and also an attorney. My area of law is in medical malpractice. I always had an interest in science. I knew that I was not a business-minded person, so I knew, business, taxes, things like that. That was not for me. And I enjoyed science, and I had an aunt who was a physician, and so I shadowed her, and it led me down the path of, I really think I could do this. My parents were teenagers when I was born, so they, did not even finish high school, and so, I didn't have any immediate family members that were physicians, but had this one aunt, and I thought, I can do this. I knew I was going to go to college. We had a local fire department, and our medical director was an emergency physician, and so I shadowed him, but he was also a cop. And so I also thought, wow, this is kind of neat. My goal was actually always to be a physician and a police officer. But then as time went on, I realized, I don't know if I want to be out in the streets. I think I like the argument, I like the logic of law. That's when I thought, at some point in time, after I finish my physician training, maybe I'll go back and pursue a law degree. More and more, I had 4 other physician colleagues who went back and got their law degrees after having practiced medicine for a while. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do it. As I was seeing the specialty change, meaning more decision making was taken out of our hands and put in sort of the hands of the administrators and things like that, I thought it's time for me to make this change. And so I want to be able to still use my medicine, use my medical knowledge, my background, but in a different way, in order to help people who've been hurt, by a mistake, and sort of give them the best shot at getting justice, I guess. When a client comes to you and you're asking them about this terrible thing that happened, in the law side of things, if they feel connected to you, they're much more likely to, number one, want to work with you, because as opposed to ER where they're coming to me and I'm kind of the only doctor that's there, they don't really have a choice. But as a lawyer, they have lots of choices. And so I want them to know I hear you and I'm here for you and I'm going to hear your story. And I can empathize with you as a family and a patient who something bad may have happened to. And for us at LawMD, having this broad sort of depth of specialists, neurosurgery, OB, emergency medicine, you name it, we can absolutely find that needle in the haystack, which oftentimes it is. It can be a very subtle issue that someone could easily overlook, and that person, if that happens, they may not get the justice they deserve. And so for us, if I might not know, let's say, okay, I feel like there's an issue here, but it's maybe a bit out of my area of expertise, I can rely on my colleagues at LawMD to say, you know what, Peter, there is a case here, and here's why. And then we can take it from there.